Hey, it's Hannah here, and today I'm going to be showing you some techniques to help train through separation anxiety. So it's important to understand that horses are herd animals and they have evolved to stick together for their survival. It's hardwired in horses to be part of the herd and not to go out on their own, which is why separation anxiety can be such a strong challenge for horse owners, but it's a really scary thing for horses to feel. They are genuinely scared and panicking when we're seeing signs of distress, like them calling or wanting to get back to their companions. So it's important when you're working through this to really understand that this can be really challenging for some horses, and what we want to do, as always, is work at the level of for your horse, which means going slowly and making it a positive experience. What we're doing is changing the horse's experience of being separated from something that's really terrifying and scary to something that's actually calm, easy, fun and positive. This means that you're going to have to go slowly. For that reason, it's not my favourite thing to train because it can be a bit boring and repetitive for you, but you'll see I do obviously have trained it with all my horses because it's really, really important. So the videos that you'll see are going to be really focused on training one of my horses who was anxious about being left at home. So he panicked when any of the other horses were taken out of sight. But if you're working with a horse who is anxious about leaving, it's exactly the same techniques. You're just going to change the emphasis slightly. So as you're watching the video, you'll see that when I take one horse out of the field, Freckles was getting very anxious about being left behind. So my focus was on Freckles' levels of anxiety so that I could monitor him to decide how far I was able to go until he was able to, calm down and have a good experience with one of his herd mates leaving the field. If you're working with a horse who is anxious to leave, you want to keep the focus more on the anxiety levels of the horse that you're working with. So the techniques will be exactly the same, where you create a tiny separation, which might be just down the yard, a few meters from the stable, just outside the gate, wherever you start to see those signs, and you want to make that a positive experience for the horse that you are taking out. So you might just let them graze, give them a bucket, do some favourite behaviours, targeting, some tricks, standing on a mat, lots of high value treats, something like that, and then you will take them back and reunite them. So they are having a really positive experience when they are with you and separated from the herd. But in both cases, the steps are really tiny. So as I said, you're going to see the focus is more on the horses being left behind, but you can do exactly the same training if your horse is worried about leaving, and just monitor, I suppose, the anxiety levels of the whole herd really, but whichever horse is feeling most anxious. You want to make this a really positive experience. Okay, let's take a look at some of the steps.
Okay, so now we're going to dive into some actual systematic training to help with separation anxiety. Now, this video is really focused on Freckles. So in Yorkshire, he was okay with people leaving. He joined as a young horse and we had a bigger herd and it was all kind of easy. And then when I took these to France, suddenly he was the only boy in the herd, and I think he started to feel a bit more responsible or protective over his mares. He certainly became anxious about wanting to keep everybody together and everybody in his sight. So really he was the one that was most worried about separations. Now, because he hadn't been worried before, the first time I took Heather and India out, I wasn't expecting a big reaction, but he did panic and pushed his way through the hedge and ended up stuck between the hedge and the fence, as you can see. Luckily, my husband was within shouting distance, so he could come and help me. So he just held Heather and India while I tried to figure out how to get Freckles back through the hedge, which wasn't the easiest task. So obviously after that, I fenced off the other side of the hedge, but from there I realised I had to go back and rebuild his confidence with the mares leaving him. And so although he wasn't being left alone, then he was still showing quite a lot of distress when any of the other three got taken out of the field. Okay, so step one is just going just outside the gate. Now that can be enough for many horses to start to show anxiety. As you can see, the other three were already a bit like what's going on, where's she going? Because they were used to going everywhere together, and because their whole lives had just changed because I'd moved them from the UK to France, they were much more careful to stick together because they didn't yet feel comfortable in their new home. So that's also a situation where you might find that separation anxiety increases. If you move your horse to a new home, you may find that for a while you've got some more separation anxiety to deal with until they feel settled, and that's completely normal. So here I was just taking Heather up the road and really watching the others for their reaction. So I could see a little bit through the hedge, and as I get to the end of the hedge there's a bit of a hole so I can see them around there as well, and you can see all of them following us up the hedge, but they're not, Rowan's trotting a bit there, but generally not too distressed, but definitely all following us to the corner. India was a bit lame with an abscess at that time. And so I just went to the corner and stopped. Now, the time when Freckles had gone through the hedge, I'd taken them a bit further up the road. So I just took her to that corner where everyone could see her, and then came back again. Now, this might be too far at the beginning for your horse. If you go just outside the gate and already a horse in the field is showing signs of distress, calling, pacing backwards and forwards, pawing, trying to get through the gate, anything like that, then that's definitely far enough. And in fact, I decided there to definitely come back and maybe next time not go quite as far, because I wanted them to be a bit more relaxed about us being even just outside the gate. So when they saw we weren't going anywhere far, I just went a tiny little bit up the road and back, and this is more suitable for the level of anxiety that the horses were showing. So you can then just start to play with your horse just outside the gates. You can see here I was asking Heather to follow me, to do a few bends. You can play whatever you like. You can put out targets, mats. You can ask for anything you want to. And then again, just going tiny little bit of the way up and back, and just really keeping an eye on the others to make sure that they're not concerned. So here we are again. Now, it might well be that you do a lot of little sessions where you come out of the gate and you just play with just outside the gate, as you just saw me doing. That's a really, really good place to start, both to build up the confidence of the horse you're taking out and the ones you are leaving behind. This time I decided to help them a little bit by putting some buckets into the field with the ones left behind. So you want to make the whole situation as calm and positive as possible. So by just giving them some buckets, it can help that they start to create more positive associations with being left. If they are distressed enough that they can't eat, that's a really good sign that, just checking the camera, really good sign that they are definitely over threshold. But if they can stay with their buckets, you can find that it can help them create a better association with the other horse going away. So here we go again with Heather, and you can see already they're not following. But I'd done a couple of sessions just outside the gate by this point, as you repeated what you saw in the last session, so that also helped. But here you can see as I got just past the end of the hedge, Freckles started to leave the bucket and decide that was a little bit worrying. So I'm actually just out of shot on the camera here, just to the left, but I could see him watching. So I was really keeping an eye on him, and I was just waiting there and hoping that he would be able to go back to his bucket, at which point I would return. So you can really use this technique where you watch the horse being left behind, and when they show any signs of calming, immediately turn round and return with the horse that you've taken out. So there, as soon as he went back to his bucket, I started walking back down the road. So as I say, I was just out of shot there, and that can really help to kind of reinforce that calmness as well. And I thought that was really great. He went back to his bucket when we were out, so great, I'll pop Heather back in.
Okay, so they're the first steps and really the core principles of separation training, where you create a small separation, good experience, bring them back together, and you can gradually build from there. I do show a lot more steps with Freckles in the videos in the CT Club until we could get to this stage where I was able to take the horses out and he didn't even stop grazing, and the reunion was calm as well.
So check us out, I'm here with Heather.
and Rowan. We're outside the gate on the road, and Freckles is up behind the house. And he hasn't shouted, he hasn't come down to the fence to see where we're going. He's just carried on grazing, so all set, I think, to give her a little walk. Okay, so we're here now. The girls are having a little graze. They're pretty happy. Our house is a few hundred metres up, up that road. Okay, so these two are just back in through the gate. Let's see where Freckles is. Yeah, just up grazing. Perfect. In the videos on separation anxiety in the CT Club, I also go into quite a lot of detail about management techniques that you can use on a daily basis, where these just become part of your daily routine and they make a really big difference to helping your horse become more comfortable with separations. There are also videos on there from CT coach Belinda, where she looks more at the theory behind separation anxiety and shows you a case study where she worked with a mare who was used to panic a lot about coming into the stable on her own until she was able to be calm and relaxed in the stable. So there are a lot more resources there. If you don't know, the CT Club is our online membership site. There are hundreds and hundreds of full step-by-step video tutorials in there in the home study courses, and you get instant access as soon as you join. There's also loads of monthly events and support available where you can connect directly with myself, with Rachel, and with our coaches in a lot of different ways, and also with our hundreds of wonderful members from around the world as well. So if you're really looking for a lot of practical videos and support, then please check out the CT Club. We'd love to have you there. To find out more, just go to connectiontraining.com, click on Learn It Online in the middle, and you'll find the information there. Thank you very much for watching, and happy horse training.